Hey there tech fans, Rick here again with another review, and today I have a brand new portable power station from our friends over at Orico that provides plenty of power to keep all of your mobile devices fully charged when you're away from home. Now I review a lot of these portable power stations on the channel, and I really love this technology because it essentially allows me to carry a portable power source with me out in the field and operate all of my portable and mobile devices when I'm away from home. And these fall into 1 of 3 categories typically: smaller like this, which are great for a day out and about with your family and friends, where you have a couple of mobile devices that you want to charge. They're small, they're not really heavy, and they're easy to bring along. The middle-sized is perfect if you're spending a few days out in the field. Maybe you're going camping, or you're on a long road trip, or maybe you're looking for something small in your home when you have that occasional power outage and you can plug things in and operate them during that power blackout. And then there's the larger ones, and I've reviewed a lot of those. Those are sort of whole home generators that you can actually use to operate most of the devices in your home. And all of those are great, but finding the right portable power station for your needs is really important as well. And I find that the smaller ones like this are perfect, and it's the one I use most often because I don't spend a lot of time in the field camping. We'll go on a couple of trips a year, but I'm out in the field every day with my drone, my cameras, my tablet, my phone, all the things that I use out there, and this is perfect for charging that. Now what Orico's done with this product is really built a product that is the perfect balance between capacity and portability, but more importantly, they've built in all the advanced technology you'll need to charge your modern devices, and I'll get into that in a minute. But before I get too deep into the overview, I'd like to start with an unboxing just to show you everything that's included with the kit, because whenever I'm buying a product, I always like to know what I get included with the product. So to start with, when you open up the box, you'll find the portable power station. You'll find an AC kit that allows you to charge it at home. You'll plug this end into any standard wall outlet. The other end has a barrel connection on it, which plugs into the front of the unit, and you can charge this in a couple of hours. And of course, that depends on how depleted it is when you start that charging cycle, but it charges really quickly. They've also included a connection cable. It's an adapter cable, which I think is really nice. The unit has a 5521 barrel connection on the front, which delivers 12 volts and 10 amps, and you can plug things directly in there. There are a lot of cables on the market that'll convert that 5521 into a charging connection for laptops, DVD players, other portable devices. But if you want to charge something that you would normally charge in your car from the device, this is perfect because it's got a 5521 on the one end and a 12 volt convenience outlet, just like in your car, on the other end. So you plug this into the 5521, plug anything you'd like in here that you would normally plug into your car, and you can charge to your heart's content. Also included is a warranty card and a full instruction manual that explains everything you need to know about the unit to use it properly. Now, let's talk a little bit about the product itself, because what Orico's done here is they've looked at, I think, some of the more sophisticated, bigger portable power stations on the market, and they looked at the features that were available there, and they brought those into a smaller unit like this. So to start with, it's 144 watt hours of capacity. So that's a lot of energy packed into this unit. 144 watt hours is pretty big. It also can supply between a 150 watts and 170 watts peak of output power, which means you can draw a lot of energy out of this through any of the ports that are there in combination, which is really important. The other thing they did with it was built in all the DC connections you'll need and an AC connection on it as well, and I'll talk about those now. Now I'll also do a closer look at this in a minute and show you what the ports look like and how you can plug things in. But on the back of the unit, you'll find an AC outlet. What's unique about this is it's a 3-prong outlet. A lot of these portable power stations give you a 2-prong outlet, and if you're trying to plug something in like a drill or something else that's got the 3-prong outlet, you either have to use an adapter or you've got to break off that third grounding plug, and don't do that. So this one gives you a 3-prong. What's really interesting about this is you can draw between 150 and 170 watts out of that outlet. And that's important because a lot of these have a finite amount of power that they'll supply. So for example, if this stopped at 150 watts, if you plug something in that draws a little bit more current when you first start using it, something like a drill or something that has a motor in it that's going to draw a lot of inrush current initially and then settle down to a lower current, they'll shut off. This one won't. This will actually allow you to deliver up to 170 watts peak power, so you can turn on that drill. When it settles down where it's not drawing as much current, it'll still operate just fine. One other key feature on this is the pure sine wave output. A lot of these units use a modified sine wave output, which isn't a big deal if you're using something with a motor, but if you're plugging in sensitive electronics to a unit, you want to make sure you have a pure sine wave, because a lot of times the electronics set their internal clocks based on that synchronicity with the 60 cycles. So really important, really nice they've got it on the end of the unit. Now the other end is where all the DC is delivered, and it's also the power button and the indicator letting you know what kind of charge you got in the unit. So to turn the unit on, you'll push this button right here, you'll hold it for a couple of seconds, it springs to life. You immediately know what type of charge is still on the unit and how much energy is still available to charge external devices. As far as the connections go, you'll find two 5521s on the bottom. One of these is an input port that you'll use with the AC to charge it. The other one is an output port that you can use with this or a customized cable to deliver 12 volts, again up to 10 amps, to an external device. On the top, you'll notice three more connections that are all USB. There are two USB-A connections and a USB-C in the middle. Now, what's really important about those is the two USB-A connections are both quick charge devices, which means they're QC compatible. And that's important because if you're connecting up most of the modern electronics that use that quick charge standard, the minute you plug it in, this portable power station will look at that device and it'll judge how much of a current and voltage should be sent to that device to charge it safely and quickly. And it makes that adjustment individually for each of those two QC ports. So if you're using an Android product, some of the tablets, some of the portable game consoles that use that QC standard, you have two ports you can use to plug those devices in and get the fastest possible charge to those two devices. In the middle is a USB-C connection. Now, USB-C is the very latest standard for connecting external devices. Most of the modern phones and tablets and laptops all use a USB-C port. This one is nice because it's not only a USB-C, but it's a USB-C PD or power delivery. And PD means it's the same kind of like synchronicity, if you will, with that external device where it's checking the voltage and current that whatever device you connect it to needs, and it's making the adjustment initially to start charging it quickly. And as that device starts to get fully charged, it backs off on the charging current and voltage and trickle charges it to a full capacity. So that PD port is really important. Another thing they did, which again is unique in these portable power stations, is it's a very powerful PD port. It's a 60-watt port, which means if you connect things that are really thirsty, like a laptop, a game console, some of the larger drone batteries, you can supply up to 60 watts from that port to charge those devices. A lot of other portable power stations on the market limit that output to maybe 20 watts, 30 watts, or 40 watts if you're lucky. So having a full 60 watts there really gives you a lot of power to charge those external devices. Now, if you stay tuned, what I'll do next is take a closer look at the unit, and I'll walk through all of those connections again so you can see exactly what they look like and how you can connect to them. And then I'll come back at the end, and I'd like to reinforce a few things that really separate this particular portable power station from others you may be considering with around the same capacity. The unit features a full aluminum exterior, which is sort of a brushed aluminum finish, which gives it a very high-end look. On the one end, you'll find the DC connections as well as the power button to turn the unit on. You'll push that button and hold it for a couple of seconds. It'll actually turn the unit on. You'll notice the blue light come on. That means all the DC ports are active. If you'd like to turn the AC unit on, you'll hold that button. Once it's powered on for a couple of seconds, that'll turn on the AC portion of the unit. Now on the DC side of the house, as I'd mentioned, there are two full-sized USB-A connections on the top. You'll notice both of those are orange. Those are QC compatible ports. You can plug anything in there that's QC compatible or really any USB device to fully charge it. If you have a QC compatible device, these will sense the voltage and current needed to charge that device safely and adjust as needed. In the center, you'll find a USB-C port. That's a PD or power delivery port as well. So any newer device that uses the PD standard can plug in there. It's also a 60-watt port, and that's a standard USB-C connection. In the center, you'll find the display that shows you how much of a charge is still in the unit. Right now, I've got 37% of the battery life left, so about a third of it available to charge external devices. You'll notice vents along the top here to let any heat that develops during operation escape. On the bottom, you'll find two 5521s. There's one here that's labeled DC out and one labeled DC in. The charging plugs in here. So when you plug the charger into the wall, you'll plug the 5521 here to charge the unit. On the left-hand side, you'll find a DC output port that can be used to deliver 12 volts at 10 amps to external devices, or you can plug in the adapter cable they include to turn that into a standard DC port like you find in your car. On the other end, you'll find the AC portion of it. Again, it's a three-prong outlet, which is important. Most of the modern devices you'll plug in have three-port cords on them. You can plug them in right there. This will deliver, again, up to 150 watts steady state or 170 watts peak. It's also a pure sine wave output, which is important for modern electronic devices. Now, to turn that on, like I'd mentioned, you'll hold this button for a couple seconds, and the AC will turn on. You'll know it's active because this blue light right here will come on, letting you know the AC is now active. You don't want to turn that on unless you're using it because it does draw current from the battery, even though you may not have anything plugged into it. So I always turn that off unless I need AC and just use the DC portion of it. And you can do that again by holding that button. You'll see the blue lights off. And that's pretty much it for the closer look. I hope that closer look was helpful. Now here are a few really important things to keep in mind when you're comparing the Orico portable power station to others you may be considering. The first thing has to do with capacity. This unit packs 144 watt hours of energy into a tiny little package that weighs less than 3 pounds. It can also deliver 150 watts of steady state power or up to 170 watts peak to external devices. And that 20 watts might not seem that big a difference between the 150 and the 170, but if you're plugging in a device that has an initial inrush current that's higher than 150 watts, maybe a drill or a blender or something else that draws a little bit more current when you first turn it on, this will accommodate it. A lot of other portable power stations have a really rigid cutoff, and if you try to draw 1 more watt than their maximum capacity, they'll shut off. This one gives you the flexibility of knowing I can exceed it for short periods of time if I have to when I turn the device on, but then as it settles down below the 150 watts, it'll run just fine. Another key difference is the AC output on this one is a 3-prong compared to a lot of units that have a 2-prong, which makes it really easy to plug things in. It's also a full sine wave. It's a pure sine wave output. A lot of the other portable power stations on the market have a modified sine wave, and you can read through the descriptions. If you have a choice, always find one that has a pure sine wave availability. On the DC side of the house, there's also a tremendous amount of connection possibilities here. They've included every type of connector you'll need to power external devices, and they've also added very sophisticated technology. So starting with the 2 full-sized USB-A connections, those are QC compatible, which is a quick charging standard, which means they'll look at whatever device you plug in on both of the ports independently and analyze what that product needs and send the right amount of current and voltage to that device on a regular basis, and they'll change as they have to as the device gets charged to be able to charge it quickly and safely. So anything that uses the QC standard can plug into those 2 USB-A ports. They can also deliver a standard USB voltage of 5 volts at 2.4 amps. So anything you charge from a USB charger at home, you can plug right in there and you'll be just fine. The USB-C port on the front is also unique because it's a PD or power delivery port, which means it can recognize quick charge devices that use that PD standard. Now, a lot of products like tablets and phones and drones and other portable gaming systems use that PD port, and you can plug it in there. The PD standard will kick in and it'll do the same type of adjustment to that device to deliver the right voltage and current to charge it quickly and safely. But the other key thing is it's a 60 watt port, which means you can charge really thirsty devices like larger tablets or even laptops or drone batteries. Things that require a lot of current to be able to charge can be charged through that port. So you really have every USB connection you'll need to charge all of your devices there. They've also included a single 5521 port on the bottom. And again, I mentioned before that there are custom cables available in the market that can plug into there to directly charge certain devices externally that take 12 volts at 10 amps or draw a little bit of current off at 12 volts. But they've also included this adapter, which I think is great. Now, these are available in the market as well, but the fact that they included it is a really nice touch. It's got a 5521 here, which plugs into the front of the unit, and it's got a standard 12 volt outlet right here. So they basically turn this into sort of a Swiss Army knife of charging capabilities between the AC on the one end and the DC on the other end that allows you to charge pretty much anything you own. So I hope you found this review helpful. I really love doing these kind of reviews. If you have any interest in this product, I've got a link below where you can go check it out on Amazon. And maybe it's the product for you, but at least you can check the specs and see if it's something you might be interested in. I've got a lot more clips coming that I'll be talking about this type of technology. I have a ton of drone stuff I'll be covering as well, so make sure you stop back on the channel soon to catch those clips. And until next time, stay nerdy.